So, one of the things that's really puzzled me is the fact that food service operators and manufacturers into that space took vegan so seriously 3, 4, 5 years ago, and continue to do so. But yet they seem to be ignoring the rise of GLP-1s and the implications they have for their products, their menus, and their overall offering. So, with the rise of triple-agonist weight loss drugs, so triple action if it was a toothpaste, and I won't go into the pharmacology of that, but I have had some requests from some of our food service clients to pick through the implications and say, what should they be doing differently with the rise of this new class of drug? So I think the first recommendation I'd have for food service companies, both those who serve food service and also operate fascias, is to become, what I'm calling GLP-1 visible. Because that's the first step, really. You've got to meet these growing number of diners who are on these drugs. And in part, for the operator's perspective, this should be a fundamental menu rethink. As if a diner is full and they're just not feeling like they should eat, you can't out indulge them, you can't out market them, you can't tempt them with the usual levers, can you? And appetite is reduced on these compounds, we know that. And these diners report not knowing how much to eat or what to eat, and they therefore need help. And they're not necessarily getting that help from the GP or their prescriber. And of course, that assumes they have a prescriber, as many of these drugs are obtained, roundabout ways and more off-label, really, for their intended use. So you've got a lot of people out there, users who are sort of orphans, trying to navigate their day-to-day, out-of-home eating without many guides. So be the brand, be an operator that can talk to them and level with them about what you've got and why it's suitable for them. And of course, diners deep down, they know they need to eat more protein and nutrients, because if they don't, they're going to encounter fatigue and potentially muscle loss that's all over the newspapers and all over the Reddit forums for these things. So this is a real opportunity for food and beverage brands and operators, because things like on-menu labeling, new dishes, new products, and also targeted marketing can be really helpful to these shoppers and make them super loyal and sticky to you. So, education about your foods and drinks needs to be part of the offering. This sense of supporting the GLP-1 user in their course of treatment will pay dividends for the food service operator brave enough to embrace this. Because let's face it, if you're motivated enough to inject yourself once or twice a week, it's pretty obvious that you have dedication and intentionality. They're effectively freed from most of the biological hunger that the rest of us have during the day. All that cascade of hormones through the system that affect our appetites. So in many ways, this kind of, these diners in that state are the perfect, way to actually position the nutrients, the vitamins, the proteins, the amino acids in your products, because they can make nutritionally grounded decisions freed from, if you like, the hormonal impulses of hunger and the emotions that go around that. But of course, they can only do that if they've got the information to do that. So give them the information on menu, on pack, and in your wraparound marketing. So that means menus that educate and labels that are clear for these diners that they can navigate. And low fat, low sugar, calorie control claims are fine for retail, but they just won't cut it for this class of diner. So what these diners need is easy to digest, well understood, clear ingredients so they can make those decisions. Typically, these diners eat 30% less than they would normally do. So that needs to flow into the portion size and into your thinking. Menu changes need to be pretty major, not just little tweaks or dialing up the flavour a little bit. What counts as an indulgent dish on the menu needs rethinking, as in a way intentional eating has replaced the traditional urge to indulge. So that messaging needs to be reconfigured. And for me, what are the keys? Simplicity, fewer ingredients, and a focus on how this meal will satisfy not just the palate, but actually the body in terms of the underlying biology. So, what does that mean again? So, fast casual dining, if we think about that, QSR accept, company catering, etc., with, that needs a health focus. And we're seeing good growth in those channels from these shoppers because both the speed of dining increases as well as kind of the, if you like, the nutritional need. These diners can experience nausea, hence the ease of digestion recommendation that I spoke about earlier. And they typically, because of that, they will choose smaller, healthier styles of food, but with bold flavors, because one of the consequences of these compounds is things taste bland. So they need to stand out. So fast eating, healthy, bold flavors, smaller portions. And it's good news in many ways for operators because there's a premium to be had to cater to these new diners. Because whilst they eat out less, they are prepared to pay more when they do eat out. And obviously, understanding portions key. As diners eat less, they demand more from every forkful. So smaller and more nutrient-dense dishes are key. So it's a case of less volume of food, but more value, which in the current inflationary environment is music to the ears of many food service manufacturers and operators. For instance, functional drinks, smaller plates, smaller portions, all these things can come together provided that the user is getting value from every forkful. So, welcome to the brave new world of triple agonists in weight loss. And I think my overall recommendation for you is look, you can lead, you can fast follow, however you want to do it, but you can't ignore.